Hey, Fun Chief here. Welcome to another installment of the Alliance Match Training Series where fortune favors the prepared mind. Up next, lesson 17, orders. And in this lesson, I'm going to show you the military technique for writing up orders, which are in the form of usually a warning order or operations order or a fragmentary order, which is basically a change to an existing order, usually with more information or something like that. And this format that I'm going to show you is, in fact, the basic format that you're going to find in the military, and it's a useful technique. I I would encourage you to think about using something like this. You don't necessarily have to use it at the same level of detail that I do because I tend to go over the top of these things. But it's I found that when I do this, people have a much clearer understanding of what to expect, and they frankly enjoy the clarity that I'm providing them. They understand the vision that I have and the reason that it's shaped that way, what they can expect from the enemy. I use the skills that I have for understanding, the game mechanics and looking at what's happening across the battlefield and capturing all of that into some kind of a meaningful description. And then I kind of like fight the battle in my own mind and share that information with a nice step-by-step process with different phases and things like that. So it's a pretty cool thing to do. I'm only sharing this with you because I think it's useful for people to think about doing something like this. And when I show you this technique, I hope that many of you will give it a try and use this basic format. So this is the op order format. This is an example of an op order I actually issued in a match that we were in. And the format is a 6-paragraph format with situation, the mission, the execution, sustainment, command, and signal. And the little mnemonic to remember this is Sergeant Major eats sugar cookies. That's how I remembered this from way back in the time when I was a junior lieutenant, or actually before that, even when I was going to OCS. So, the situation is more than it sounds like. It's a whole lot about enemy forces and their enemy disposition and the kinds of units that they might have and the most likely course of action. We lay all that out, what they're going to do. We talk about some key terrain that might be affect the battlefield and what the impact might be for either for a key avenue of approach or for a defense that we might be doing. Then you transition into, and there's a whole lot of other details in here. This is just kind of a high level overview. Then you might transition to the mission, just a really clear statement on what you're trying to do. So this is not too complex, but the execution piece is where you kind of break things down into sort of a Barney style. You don't want to get too much in the detail because this, after all, is just a game. If this were a real military operation, there'd be a lot more detail in here. But the idea is that I broke this into 3 phases. Phase 1, we're going to destroy the Spanish and Libyan fleets. In phase 2, which is going to be our main attack, we're going to attack Turkey, Italy, and Algeria. And phase 3 is we're going to consolidate. This all the way down here. And so each one of these phases gets a little bit more of a description. And where it makes sense, we do a little bit of graphics to show, hey, these are the movements that I want in order for you to destroy Turkey, for example. Here I'm showing that, we're going to do an invasion here to the north and the east and to the south, to the north and to the west and to the south and the east. And these X's here where I'm telling him, I want you to go destroy the enemy production in those locations. So every one of these things, I try to specify, hey, attack Turkey and do these things. And then I write in here the commander's intent. And this is in the absence of me being physically there or virtually there telling everybody what to do. They have an understanding what I ultimately want to do. So as long as they're following this commander's intent, destroy the enemy units in Turkey, defend northern Syria and southern Bulgaria, and destroy Turkish production lines. That pretty much tells them what I want them to do, or destroy Turkish production lines. That tells them what I want to do. So as long as we're doing something consistent with that, we're going to be okay. I can't predict everything that the enemy is going to do. Nobody can. In this particular match, we're pretty close. I think there was a couple things they threw at us as a surprise, and we wound up winning this match. But the point is that it was really helpful for me personally as the commander of this match to think through all this, write it all down, and kind of fight the battle in my mind. And then once I did that, share what I understood with my team so they had a real good, clear understanding of what I expected of them and how they were going to prosecute the battle. To this team's credit, they did a really good job. There was a couple of surprises that the enemy threw at us, but overall, we wound up winning this match. And I don't know how much this helped, but I did get feedback from the teammates that they really enjoyed this. They thought it was a really helpful thing. And if nothing else, it just made the game feel more fun and real. So I would encourage you to give this a try. Sergeant Major eats sugar cookies, situation, mission, execution, sustainment, command, and signal. Those are the 6 paragraphs. You can look all this stuff up online. There's all kinds of information about how to do this with all kinds of levels of complexity. Turn this into something simple like the way I've used it here. It may look a little bit more complex, but it really isn't. It's actually quite simple. You guys apply this, and I promise you it will help you perform better, communicate better with your teams, and mean that you have a more likely possibility of winning a match. Still got to execute well, but having a good plan is a very good start. And so that concludes this lesson for the Alliance Match training series where fortune favors the prepared mind. Up next is lesson 18. Here's where we're going to start talking about tactics with naval units. And this is 2-part series, mini series inside here. Lesson 18 is tactics with naval units. Lesson 19 is tactics with artillery units. The way I want to do this is I've got some guest speakers. I've got an alliance versus an alliance match that a bunch of guys are sitting in there, and they've been building for the last couple of weeks, and we're going to stage some battles and have some commentary from these other experts that are way better than I'll ever be. And hopefully it gives you guys a little bit of insight on some specific things that you can be doing with both naval units, as lesson 18 is, and lesson 19 with artillery units. These are the key units in the game, and these insights and techniques hopefully will help you execute your alliance versus alliance match in a more proficient way, or at least give you something to start practicing so that you can get better at it. With that concludes lesson number 17, and I will see you guys when I start doing lessons 18 and 19 here in a few more days. With that, Fun Chief out.